morning, everyone, and welcome. This is another stream from Congregation Sharet Tzedek, and we are about to proceed with the ancient ritual of selling the Chametz before Pesach. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to our witnesses for coming out this morning. Thank you to Ran Yukashi, and thank you to Mary Nazen for being here with us. Thank you to Gary Sergenko from Bridges for Peace. He's going to tell us in a little bit who he is and why he's here. My name is Rabah and I'm about to begin with this ritual. So if you are at home, if you have access to the chat, please say hello. We would like to know who is there witnessing with us this event. So the thing is, we're about to begin the festival of Passover, and we have two main prohibitions for Pesach. Number one, we don't supposed to eat Chametz. Everybody knows that. We don't eat Chametz on Pesach with matzah. But there is another thing. It's not only that you cannot eat Chametz, you cannot possess or own Chametz during Pesach. So even if you have Chametz at home, even if you are not intended to eat it, it's still a violation of the prohibition of owning or having Chametz during the festival. So what we do is before Pesach, we try to eat as much Chametz we can. Some of the Chametz we can give it away. We can donate it before Pesach. We always save a little bit of Chametz that we burn it at the end. But most of it that we still have at home and we want to enjoy after Pesach, what we do is we sell it. We sell it before Pesach to someone who has no prohibitions on eating Chametz, which basically means somebody that is not Jewish. The prohibition of not owning or eating Chametz during Passover applies only to Jewish people. So that means that somebody who is not Jewish can buy all the Chametz during Pesach and still allowing us to have that Chametz at home because it's not our Chametz. It becomes somebody else's Chametz. So it's okay for you to have it, right? And then after Pesach, we meet again with this non-Jewish person to try to rebuy that Chametz so we can start eating it again. Okay? That is in a nutshell, and there are many details of this ceremony that I'm going to be explaining as we go. Okay? There is a very interesting document. It's a 4-page document that we are going to be signing this morning. And that's the way we're going to do it. So, first, I want to once again welcome Gary Sergenko for being here with us. And I just realized there is a typo. I don't have the new one, but I will correct it by hand. That's all okay, because we are going to put the initials next to it. Your name is here with 2 R's, and it's only one, right?
No, it's spelled correctly. Everything's correct.
With 2 R's?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is the latest version. Even better. So before we start, Gary, as I mentioned, we have to be sure that whoever buys the Chametz is not Jewish. So I want you to, I have to ask you this. Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish.
Okay. You're Christian.
I'm a Christian.
And you represent a wonderful organization that's called Bridges for Peace. And I would like you to share with all our congregants what is Bridges for Peace. And it also will make people understand why we wanted to sell this Chametz to Bridges for Peace, because we have a long-standing relationship with them. But I would like Gary to be the one who will explain that to us.
Yes, thank you very much. It is my honor to be here today with you. And Bridges for Peace is a Christian nonprofit that was founded by a Canadian in Israel in 1976. And it is dedicated to building relationships between Christians and Jews in Israel and around the world. And we support the Jewish people, the state of Israel. We provide humanitarian aid to those in need in Israel. We do educational programs. We take tours to Israel to connect people to the land, and we stand with the Jewish people fighting anti-Semitism. So that's briefly about Bridges for Peace, and we're happy to be friends and to partner with you.
Thank you so much. And this is yet another example of how we can help each other. This is a perfect example, right? Before Pesach, we need somebody to buy our Chametz, and Bridges for Peace is always there to get all the Chametz that we cannot consume. So let's start with the document. I have to read it, and as I read it, I will explain it. Okay? Because even though I explained already to Gary what is Chametz, what is Pesach, and how this works, I'm supposed to do it again before we sign the document because this is a legal document and everything has to be clear. Okay? And I have, of course, here Mary Nathan that is going to witness that everything goes according to halakha, according to Jewish law. You know all the laws about this, right? Of course. So, it goes like this. I, the undersigned, Rabah Yaniv Mas, have sold to Gary Sergenko, a non-Jew, from the hour listed below, all forms of Chametz. Okay, so what is Chametz? It's leaven or food mixed with leaven that is prohibited during Passover. Okay? So not only all Chametz, but also all suspected Chametz. You know, if we are not sure if it's Chametz or not, we're still selling you that. Whether my own or that of anyone who has authorized me to sell their Chametz, as detailed in the Shtar Harsha'ah, power of attorney, which has been given to me. So, right here, I have all the signed forms, but people who make me their messenger to sell their Chametz. So I'm selling it, not just my Chametz, but also their Chametz to you. All the names are contained here in this envelope. You're going to take this form with you, just to be sure that you know what you're taking home after this. Okay? So all the power of attorney are contained here. And they already did it. So, which has been given to me, whether food, specifically forms of grain and flours, baked goods, and baking ingredients, or drinks, specifically hard drinks such as brandy, whiskey, cognac, and all varieties of liquors. So, because all that contains Chametz, even though mostly they're made with grains or mixed with grains, unless there are very, very few alcoholic beverages that they are not Chametz. Of course, you can have sometimes, if you can get it, the old-style vodka, for example, that is just potatoes, or pure tequila, that is agave. But because sometimes we are not even sure if they're mixed with other grains, we don't have it. So all that, we are also selling to you. What else could be Chametz? All forms of candy, chocolate, sweets, that sometimes contain Chametz, or they're mixed with grains. The Chametz which adheres to utensils in containers or clothing. Well, you know, when you use pots and pans to cook things during the year that contain Chametz, there are always particles that they stay there. It's impossible to clean it. So if that's the case, we also sell you that. And sometimes also we have, let's say that, I don't know if you, but sometimes you can put something in the pocket of your coat that is food or things, right? And even if you remove it, the envelope of other things, sometimes you have crumbs or things that may stay there. It's all yours. So even in that detail, we observe the prohibition of not having any kind of Chametz at home. Let's continue. Now, this is interesting because you're also buying all animals, like pets, for example, but also large and small cattle, horses, birds, and fowl, which feed on Chametz. Sometimes we forget that because the prohibition of owning Chametz, it also includes all the food that you need to feed your animal. So how do you do that? So you buy the animals and the Chametz that is used to feed them, and you're trusting us with feeding your animals for a week with your chametz. Okay? So you're already giving us permission to do that, so we can own also pets or other animals during Pesach. Let's continue. And the chametz and chametz mixtures, which those who have authorized me have in partnership with a non-Jew, whether the chametz mentioned is truly their own or that for which they are responsible, even if responsible only for negligence, whether responsibility is according to Torah law or civil protocol, or by dint of lawlessness, whether the chametz is with them in the house, in the attic, in the cellar, or in a factory or store, whether on dry land or the waters, whether in wagons or railroads, or in ships or in airplanes. Now, the thing is, sometimes chametz ownership could be shared. Let's say that you have a partner at work, and you have a fridge in your office. Who owns the fridge? Well, the two of you, right? And the fridge contains chametz, and think when during that week, the Jewish part of the ownership of that fridge is yours for a week. And the other thing is, sometimes there is chametz that on ships and on airplanes and things. Like, let's say that we put an order on Amazon, and it didn't come on time. It's late. So now it's in our way here, even though it's not in my house. I already paid for it. It's mine. So even I don't have a physical possession of it because still traveling, it's yours. And if in the case that arrives during Passover, I will receive it, but it's still yours. We agree that we are going to take good care of it if it arrives during Pesach. All such chametz as listed above, I have sold to the aforementioned buyer in a complete and absolute sale without retaining any rights whatsoever. Okay? Any questions?
No.
As regards the price of the chametz, as listed above, I came to an agreement with the aforementioned buyer that everything would be assessed by 3 experts in assessment according to current prices. And in accordance with the assessment, the aforementioned buyer is obligated to pay the price after measuring such chametz that is normally measured or weighing such chametz that is normally weighed. The assessments, measurements, and weighing will take place after the upcoming Pesach. May it come upon us with blessing. So this is what happened. I don't really know. I got all these forms from my congregants, but I don't know how much chametz they have. Okay? They didn't measure all the chametz. So you're buying something, but I cannot tell you the price. I cannot tell you how much is all the chametz combined. They have things on their pantry, they have whiskeys, they have this, they have that. How much it is, I don't know. So what we are going to do right now is, you don't have to give me all the money for that. In a minute, you're going to give me just a down payment. And then after Pesach, without the rush, we're going to measure how much chametz you really got. Okay? But not now. It's going to be done after Pesach. Now, as regards the cost of the purchase, I will receive from the aforementioned buyer a total security of 20 Canadian dollars, and I establish the remainder to be in the form of a loan, okay? With a date of maturity not to exceed 1 hour into the 23rd day of Nisan in the year 5783, corresponding to the 13th day of April in the year 2023, at approximately 9:10 p.m. after the measure and weighing take place. Okay? So, I will ask for you to give me $20 as a deposit. Thank you very much. $20. Thank you, Mary. This is the deposit for all the chametz that you're buying. And I declare unequivocally that I have rented to the aforementioned buyer my house. Okay, so I also, this is the rabbis created different ways to formalize the buying. One is the down payment. The other one is you are renting my house. And by renting my house, by extension, you're also renting not only the chametz that my congregants have, but also the places where that chametz is stored. Okay? But the formality is done through renting my house, which the contract has the address, but I won't say it out loud and on a public streaming, but you have it written there. Okay? It's in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So, I'm renting you this for you to store the utensils and movable goods, as is the buyer's pleasure, for the sum of 20 Canadian dollars from the 14th day of Nisan in the year 5783, corresponding to the 5th day of April in the year 2023, until the 23rd day of Nisan in the year 5783, corresponding to the 13th day of April in the year 2023. And by dint of the possession of the property, the house, my house, rented to the buyer, I transfer to the buyer the movable goods as I mentioned before. And I have rented to the buyer all of the places where the aforementioned chametz substances are for the sum of 2 Canadian dollars per room. So for now, I need another $20 as a, thank you so much, $20, as you're renting my house. And then also you have to pay in the future $2 per room for my house and all the houses that people sign there, but we don't know how much it is. So for now, the $20 down payment is good enough to me. It's good enough. Now, there is one thing that I have to ask you that is not written here, but I want you to say it into the microphone, that let's say, for example, that Pesach started, and somebody realized that in one of the rooms that they store chametz, there is medicine that they need. But it's so they can't enter there because it's yours. So I want you to give them permission or right of access to that in case they need something that is important, because it's to protect the life. So you're okay?
Yes, I give permission.
Thank you. The aforementioned buyer has the authority to do with the chametz whatever his pleasure. So it's yours. It's your chametz. You can do whatever you want. You can sell. You can gift. Rent freely. And also the buyer has the authority to take home the aforementioned immediately. Okay? But even if the chametz remains whatever it is now, from this time forth, all is within the responsibility of the buyer, and I'm no longer responsible for it, including any unavoidable accidental damages. Okay, so this is the thing. You can take everything with you if you want. The only catch is whatever you take with you, then you do have to pay for that. Okay? There is no way out for that. Whatever you take, you have to pay. At the end of Pesach. Let's continue. And the buyer has also agreed to accept the stipulation that if any loss of value occurs with the aforementioned chametz, the sellers will be considered reliable in their account of how the loss of value occurred. And I, from my end, agree that even if the buyer does not pay the entire amount agreed to, as regard to the sale price of the chametz purchased, and for which I have made a loan to the buyer, nevertheless, the purchase of the buyer remains valid. But in this case, you already handed to me the down payment. The sellers listed on my harsha A, which is all the forms here, all the sellers have also authorized me to sell their chametz, which was not in their possession at the time they authorized me to act as their agent in the sale, and have personally guaranteed me that this is their intention. What could be the case? Let's say that during the week, a neighbor comes with a gift, and it is a box of cookies. It's chametz. Right? They didn't know that they were going to receive that. Two options. I said, no, thank you, it's Pesach, and you slammed the door. And you said, thank you very much. I will keep it here, because what we are saying is any chametz that come to them during Pesach is automatically yours. So they could do good things to the neighbors and still not breaking any Pesach laws. But that's just one example on how this situation could happen. I also hereby sell to the aforementioned buyer Chametz, which was not in the seller's possession at the time they gave me the harsha'ah, but now is in their possession. Okay? Because even after some people, they signed these papers a week or 2 weeks ago. Since then, they received more Chametz. That's also yours. And should there come into the seller's possession from the day and hour listed below any form of Chametz, they hereby sever all connection from that Chametz, rendering it ownerless. And they do not wish to have any right to or acquisition of such Chametz, even after it comes into their possession. And the sellers rent to the aforementioned buyer all the places where such Chametz is brought in from transport from the hour listed below until the 23rd day of Nisan of this year. And the buyer will acquire this Chametz and do with it as it pleases. Okay? So these are basically all different cases that we can have with Chametz already in their possession, coming in between the time they signed and today, and even if it comes after today. Regarding the containers, okay, this starts getting more interesting here. Because what happened now with cooking utensils that they have Chametz? The Jewish law says that if you buy pots, pans, and cutlery that they were manufactured, for example, by a non-Jew, as soon as you get possession of that because you buy it, then you have to take it to the mikveh. You have to take it to the, and you have to immerse them in kosher water. Okay? Which is, you could do it, but it's like if we can avoid doing that, it's better. So what happened is, if I sell you all these pots and pans and cutlery from my congregants, as it becomes yours, and then after Pesach, I want to buy it from you, then we have to take it to the mikveh, right? Even though if you never touched them, but they were yours. Now I have to take it to the mikveh. So it's a problem. So what the rabbis decided is, regarding the containers in which there is Chametz, if they are containers which require not tevilah, immersion in the mikvah, when purchased by a non-Jew, they are hereby sold to the aforementioned buyer. So if it's kind of material, like plastic, for example, for the things, right, that if I buy it back, I don't have to take it to the mikvah, those I sell to you. Those are sold to you. By dint of the acquisition of the aforementioned property, as they will be assessed by 3 experts in assessments as stated above. Now, if the containers are made of metal or glass, okay, that they require tevilah, they require to be taken to the mikvah when purchased from a non-Jew, I won't sell those to you. Rather, I loan them to you until you remove the Chametz from them. So, in other words, I'm selling you the Chametz that is inside, but not the pots, not the pans, not the cutlery. And if you want that Chametz, you have to find a way to extract it from there. Good luck. But that's what it is. I'm not selling you the container, just the Chametz inside. I have also transferred ownership of all the Chametz and the places mentioned to the aforementioned buyer by virtue of the delivery of this bill of sale, now in his possession as proof of that transfer of ownership. It has also been explicitly stipulated that if there is any error in the names of individuals or places as described in the list which I have given to the aforementioned buyer, the sale is not thereby invalidated. Yeah, what if, for example, somebody made a mistake when they signed these documents? They misspelled their name. Still valid. We give them the benefit of the doubt that they did it by mistake. What if they made a mistake on the address? I don't know, they put the wrong postal code or stuff. Still valid. Okay? All those little mistakes, you don't care. It's still valid. Still valid. Okay, perfect. It is within the authority of the aforementioned buyer to carry out the sale in accordance with the law of the land in all of its details. The financial consequences which emanate from such actions are the buyer's responsibility. It has also been stipulated with the aforementioned buyer that even if this document is binding only in Jewish law, as opposed to civil law, because we don't know, is this valid in civil law? We don't know. Probably is, because we have witnesses and we are doing it, right? But there is always doubt. So, because we are not 100% sure, we are 90% sure, but we are not 100% sure, we agree, nevertheless, that this sale of Chametz is valid, and should there occur any disagreement between the buyer and the seller, they agree and obligate themselves to litigate the dispute according to the law of Todah, as interpreted by the Winnipeg Council of Rabbis. Okay, so if any problem, we won't go to court. We'll try to arbitrate it in front of 3 rabbis. Okay, and they will help us to decide what to do. Everything herewith stated has been thoroughly prepared in the most binding manner in accordance with the teaching of our sages. May their memory be blessed, and it should not be regarded as mere rhetoric or perfunctory legal form. Witness, this 14th day of the month of Nisan, at the approximately hour of 10, it's 10:28 right now, but we started 10 to read this document. 10 a.m. in the year 5783, corresponding of the 5th day of April in the year 2023, here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And it's time to sign it, and then we're going to do a couple more things. We have 2 copies. I will sign this one first, and then I'll pass you the pen. Gary? Murray? Thank you. And there are a couple more things that we're going to do. And because in this day and age, right, we do this kind of contracts. That's the way the Western world usually operates. But back in the day, there were other ways that rabbis used to formalize a transaction. And even though they were discontinued in formality, whenever we do it in the Jewish way, for us it's very difficult to interrupt all traditions, and we try to keep them to honor the way it used to be done in the past. So, one thing that used to be done in the past is to formalize something. We exchange objects that belong to us. So, I have here a handkerchief, right? And I will give it to you. This is a gift. And you give me something that is yours, and now it's mine. And it's a way to formalize it. The other way is we're going to shake hands. And the other one is you are going to say to the microphone that you agree to the terms.
I agree to the terms.
Thank you very much. And now this is binding. This is done. So I would like to inform to all the congregants that they sold the Chametz through me, that the Chametz has been formally sold to Gary Sergenko. That means that all the Chametz that you sold, it cannot be eaten anymore. So I hope you have breakfast already. Otherwise, you have to go have Chametz somewhere else, but you cannot eat yours. And you can still eat technically Chametz until approximately the noon hour here in Winnipeg, if it's not your Chametz. And then after that hour, the law is you cannot eat Chametz or matzah until the Seder. So thank you very much. I will meet again online with Gary at the end of Pesach. And I will ask him again if he still wants to give me all the rest of the money for the Chametz. Otherwise, I will try to buy it back from him so we can have our Chametz back. So wish me good luck for that. But it's going to be done after Pesach. For now, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a Chag Sameach. Happy Passover And hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Happy Passover.
And happy Easter.
Yes, thank you.
I hope you have nice plans with your family for Easter.